Nancy Meyer is a member of Peaceful Tomorrows. Samina mentioned the group just a few minutes ago. Peaceful Tomorrows is an organization founded by family members of those who were killed on September 11th, 2001, who have united to turn their grief into action for peace. Nancy's sister-in-law, Laura Catucci Grancolas, was killed on Flight 93, September 11th, 2001. Nancy is part of Peaceful Tomorrows and part of their Actions for Peace. She resides in Nebraska, so is one of those who is joining us from afar, depending on where you are. And Nancy, thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to your words tonight.
Hello. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Diana. I'm going to share my screen now. I hope you can see this. So my organization, September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, is a nonprofit comprised of family members of those killed on September 11th, 2001. We seek to break the cycles of violence caused by war and terrorism. We are especially concerned about actions taken as a direct result of the 9/11 attacks, and this includes the now nearly forgotten ongoing process of trying the men accused of involvement in the attacks at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba, or more simply, Gitmo. In October of 2019, I had a chance to spend a week at Gitmo to observe the Military Commission's pretrial hearings. If I can get my screen to move. There we go. There's a beautifully written and very relevant children's book called The Enemy by David Kali and Sergei Bloch. I'm showing a photo of the book's cover as I invite you to travel with me to a bizarre part of the world called Gitmo. I begin with an excerpt from my diary. He was smaller than I expected. The man who probably designed the plan to murder my sister-in-law was quite short, only 5'4", my height. I asked about this and was soon handed a list of heights and weights of all 5 of the accused sitting in that courtroom. The man whose height matched mine matched me precisely in weight as well. And so I found myself, a person with zero presence on the world stage, staring at someone whose outsized international stature was at utter variance with his physical presence, thinking, we are the same in this respect. We would fit into the same clothing. We would literally see eye to eye if standing together. The courtroom we both occupy is at Gitmo, the location of the most infamous prisoners of modern times, 5 men accused of plotting the 9/11 attacks. It might surprise you to know that the Gitmo Military Commission's proceedings are public, but the only public who can attend them in person are 9/11 victims' family members or members of a select group of 25 global non-governmental organizations, or NGOs. A dozen or more NGO observers and journalists have been visiting Gitmo weekly for more than a decade for this purpose. Peaceful Tomorrow's members are both victims' family members and NGOs because our NGO is restricted to 9/11 victims' family members. Why did I go? Did I go to see justice served? It certainly would not be served in a week, as it has not been for nearly 20 years. And there is no realistic expectation that it ever will be. Did I go to make a difference in any way for others? I was told that my presence there as an observer was to see and be seen, to hold my government accountable, and to keep them honest. I was also told that I should tell my story when I returned. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was far from the robust, even burly, swarthy man I had seen in the infamous photo published at his capture. I knew him immediately from the turban and long red beard depicted in drawings of the courtroom. The beard is dyed for religious reasons. KSM uses orange juice and berries for the purpose, the only things that he can get. His physical size is certainly no match for his global reputation. I kept going back to this in my mind. They all look so normal, gasped the young woman sitting next to me when the 5 prisoners filed into the courtroom on the first day. I knew exactly what she meant, but by any measure, everything about Gitmo is unconventional. Gitmo has the unique status as rented U.S. territory, and as such, there was a deliberate decision to hold these specific kinds of prisoners there at a cost of $13 million per prisoner per year in a place that one U.S. government official called the legal equivalent of outer space. In other words, when jurisdiction is complicated by international ambiguity, anything goes. And indeed, it does. The 9/11 accused are at Gitmo to face justice. What would or could that ever be? The trial, whenever it does begin, is a capital one, meaning that conviction carries the death penalty. The accused are being tried as non-privileged enemy combatants, a special term meaning that they committed their acts within the context of a military conflict. In other words, their legal status is based upon the contrived notion that there was a war in place on September 11, 2001, but they are not entitled to the automatic protections according to soldiers or civilians in the theater of war. The non-privileged enemy combatants designation created specially for these prisoners is important because that is what allows the possibility of a death sentence. Here are some of the questions I submitted to one of the 9/11 trial attorneys about the accused. Assuming they are guilty, have they already been punished enough via the years of brutal torture they endured at black sites? Would death be more punishment for them or a release from punishment? Would it be a reward in their worldview? How does trying these men and then putting them to death square with not trying Osama bin Laden, but simply putting him to death? I have never understood the difference in due process between these cases. Not surprisingly, I did not get answers to any of these questions beyond the fact that a defense attorney would be unwise to give any kind of substantive response. I rather suspect that none of the attorneys, regardless of the side they are on, really could come up with reasonable answers. No one can. The fact of torture changes everything, Amar al-Baluchi's lead defense attorney, James Cannell, told me. Torture affects every single aspect of the trial, from evidence gathering to witness processing to sentences. It's not just that it's internationally illegal and morally wrong to torture people, nor that it is, in a very real and practical sense, of no useful value. Torture has a hidden cost to due process in that it absolutely ruins the ability to ever properly carry out justice. I'd like to recommend a film called The Report, which came out in October 2019 on the topic of torture of those rounded up after 9/11, how the US government tried to cover it up, and how it has spoiled any chance of justice for the 9/11 accused. Right now, well over half of the prisoners at Gitmo have not even been charged with a crime. Realistically, the Gitmo trial system is a hopelessly complicated legal, moral, physical, and philosophical quagmire. Quagmire, the same word used to justify or describe the two wars that we've had since 9/11. Military commissions were intended to sort out what happened and to properly process those accused of a massive, horrible crime so that some kind of justice can be served. Yet one thing is well understood and tacitly accepted by all who work inside these trials and observe them firsthand from the outside, and that is that justice will never be served. It cannot be. Even without all the other challenges, there simply isn't any version of justice that could ever be acceptable as appropriate to both the vengeful and the merciful, the law-abiding and the law-bending, the fundamentalist Christians and the fundamentalist Muslims, the victims' families and those who lost no one. The trial at Gitmo is fascinating. It's also infuriating, devastating, confounding, interminable, and as widely ignored as it is maddeningly misunderstood. But it is without any doubt profoundly historic. KSM and the 4 accused co-conspirators who daily sit in that classroom allegedly did something that changed the world in so many, many ways for billions of people. But these men are remarkably unremarkable, just normal-looking, middle-aged Arab men, broken men from excessive and brutal torture, but ordinary human beings of flesh and blood nonetheless. And this, I think, is one of the significant things I learned at Gitmo, that no matter who you are, or what you look like, or where you live, or what you believe, or what you choose to do in your daily life, what you choose to do with all of your time on this earth matters. And we all want to do something that matters. Many of us feel a daily desperation to make a difference, a real difference in the world. Something big and long lasting. I know I do. But how do we do that? Today, you get your pick of existential threats to work on. Anything you can do to avoid or mitigate nuclear war, global pandemic, or the climate crisis undoubtedly changes the world. But just because what we do is not something big or earth-shattering or earth-saving or with worldwide impact doesn't mean it won't have an effect beyond our lifetime. It doesn't mean we won't leave a legacy of good, because we never know the ripple effect our actions take. How about by simply recognizing and honoring the humanity of others in every single interaction? That absolutely changes the world. To be clear, I have no sympathy for those involved in the 9/11 attacks, no matter who they were. But I do see the accused as human beings, as opposed to something bigger or scarier, an entity to be feared or reviled as the media promotes. And in doing that, I change their image, an important first step in promoting peace. And that's something I never expected to find out, much less announce publicly. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and I are, in some ways, alike. We are two rapidly aging human creatures with strong ideologies and a big passion to do something important. Both of us have graying brown hair and weary brown eyes and stand at the same height in the same size mortal bodies. Importantly, he is no more or less powerful than I am, and never has been. We are so similar, I thought, while looking at a notorious mass murderer who shattered so many lives. I really want to change the world too, just not the way he did. Thank you.
Wow, Nancy, thank you. That certainly grounds us in the work ahead. Anything war can do, peace can do better, in case you didn't see that on your screen. And we are each as powerful as we claim to be, as we want to be in building a world for peace. Thank you. As we all know too well, violence and hatred continues to plague our nation and our world in a multitude of ways. And in our own country, racism saturates the structures of our government, our law enforcement, our courts of law, and more. All of our faiths and our humanity call us to do the hard work required to build a safe, just, and peaceful world for everyone. That's the hard work of honest personal reflection and tangible actions, big or small, to end the violence, particularly against our siblings who are Black, Indigenous, peoples of color. In planning for this evening, we had thought of listing and saying the names of the BIPOC siblings who have been killed by racist violence just this year. But we realize the violence is so pervasive that every list, even the lists that just focus on this year, every list is not enough. Every list missed someone who was loved, precious, and sacred, someone whose life was destroyed when it should have been valued. So in the spirit of the 9/11 multi-faith gatherings, we will instead join together in a moment of silence to honor the lives and to protest the violent deaths of our Black siblings, of all those who have died, whose lives have been destroyed when they should have been valued. Please join me in a moment of silence. And now we will watch a video or part of a video of an extemporaneous speech by Julia Jackson, the mother of Jacob Blake. On August 23rd of this year in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Jacob was shot in the back 7 times by a white police officer. He continues to fight for his life. His mother, Julia Jackson, calls us for unity and not division.
So I'm really asking and encouraging everyone in Wisconsin and abroad to take a moment and examine your hearts. Citizens, police officers, firemen, clergy, politicians, do Jacob justice on this level and examine your hearts.
Yes.
We need healing. As I pray for my son's healing, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I also have been praying, even before this, for the healing of our country.
Yes.
God has placed each and every one of us in this country because he wanted us to be here. Clearly you can see by now that I have beautiful brown skin, but take a look at your hand, and whatever shade it is beautiful as well.
Amen. Yes.
How dare we hate what we are?
Yeah.
We are humans. God did not make one type of tree or flower or fish or horse or grass or rock. How dare you ask him to make one type of human that looks just like you?
Wow.
I'm not talking to just Caucasian people. I am talking to everyone. White, black, Japanese, Chinese, red, brown. No one is superior to the other.
Right.
The only supreme being is God himself. Please, let's begin to pray for healing for our nation. We are the United States. Have we been united? Do you understand what's going to happen when we fall? Because a house that is against each other cannot stand.
Amen.
To all of the police officers, I'm praying for you and your families. To all of the citizens, my black and brown sisters and brothers, I'm praying for you. I believe that you are an intelligent being just like the rest of us. Everybody. Let's use our hearts, our love, and our intelligence to work together to show the rest of the world how humans are supposed to treat each other. America is great when we behave greatly. Thank you.
The next contributor has a story called Rise Up for Justice. It's Malala Yousafzai's story, according to my notes, and it seems the perfect thing to follow those words. Kunal Ahmed Chowdhury is 9 years old and in 4th grade, and now he will read his story, Rise Up for Justice.
Thank you. So, good morning, good evening, and assalamu alaikum, everybody. Today, I'm gonna speak, and my speech is named Rise Up for Justice, a Malala story. My name is Bunho. Rise Up for Justice, a Malala story. July 12th is Malala Day. It recognizes the achievements and ongoing campaign work of education activist Malala Yousafzai. In October 2012, Malala Yousafzai was shot in the head by the Taliban for daring to speak for equal rights to education. The militants had terrorized her hometown of Swat, Pakistan, and had tried to stop girls from attending school. Malala began speaking through a blog that she was writing for the BBC Urdu about her life as a child living under Taliban rule. But as oppression and violence escalated, she could be seen in newspapers and television reports across the country, standing up for the rights of women and children. Speaking of this time, the reason she decided to speak up, Malala says, "We don't learn the importance of anything till it's snatched from our hands." When we were stopped from going to school, I realized that education was very important. Education is a power for women. Having survived the attack, Malala was determined to continue her activism. On 12th of July, 2013, Malala's 16th birthday, she delivered a speech about global education, the first ever youth takeover of the UN, a day that became known as Malala Day. In the speech, her first following the attack, in which she addressed over 500 young education advocates from around the world. Malala Day, she said, "Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day for every woman, every boy, every girl who has raised their voice for their rights. So let us wage a global struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism, and let us pick up our books and pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world." In 2014, Malala became the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize winner. At the age of 17, she shared a prize with Mr. Kailash. Both were awarded the honor for their struggle against their subversion of children and young people, and for their right of children and education. If we all look around the world today, there's so many injustices happening right before our eyes. Let us find inspiration in Malala's story and rise up for justice. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Not only are we inspired by Malala, we are now inspired by you and that strong telling of her story. And we are called by you to rise up for justice too. Thank you. Niall Chowdhury is 11 and in 6th grade. And at least if he's doing what is planned, he's going to read a poem that he wrote called Smoke in the Air.
Okay. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Today, this is a poem I wrote titled Smoke in the Air. It is a letter of gratitude from a 9/11 survivor to his hero, a firefighter. He talks about how today's California fires have reignited those painful memories. I present to you Smoke in the Air. Dear hero, as I opened my eyes to the orange skies, I smelled heavy smoke that could make one choke. Loud screams filling the air, people running here and there. Then it hailed ash so dark. Deep in my heart, it left a mark. In the midst of it all stood a shadow, strong and tall. When I thought the end was near, you told me not to fear. So many souls were lost that day, yet the survivors guided the way. My pain of 19 years I overcame until this day when I saw a flame. Tears of sorrow flooded my eyes as I looked up to these orange skies. Once again, you have come to our rescue. My hero, my savior, we thank you. With gratitude, a 9/11 survivor. Thank you.
Thank you, Niall. You really brought the tragedies of 19 years ago to where we are today, at least many of us, where we can't breathe the air. 3 weeks ago, I had to evacuate my home with my family and my 4-year-old granddaughter. And I give thanks to those same first responders who kept us all safe. Thank you. Nashel Ahmed is a junior in high school, and age 15. And her contribution in sharing her spirit and her gifts with us today is Amazing Grace.
Okay. Hopefully the volume is all right.
Sounds perfect to me.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, light shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. That was amazing and gave us grace. Thank you. Our next speaker is the Reverend Dr. Dot Maver, who is a peace builder and educator who inspires cooperation on behalf of the common good. She is a co-founder of Global Silent Minute, the National Peace Academy USA, and the River Phoenix Center for Peace Building and Global Alliance for Ministries and Infrastructure for Peace. And today she will be talking to us about building peace in the midst of hate. Dot, we're delighted to have you.
Thank you so much, Diana and Samina, my dear sister Samina, over these many, many years as we stand together in the fire of love. I feel it in my heart this evening with all of you. This is the way we build peace. As we know, life is indeed all about relationship. And to move from fear to friendship means that we unite our hearts across distance. And so I invite us to continue to do that right now. And I would like first to say thank you to the last few speakers. My goodness, my heart is singing, so deeply touched and singing. And I'm mindful that yesterday I was honored to be one of the presenters at the United Nations High-Level Forum on the Culture of Peace. And many of the speakers, at least 8 of them, were youth from various countries around the world. And I am deeply moved to hear youth speaking this evening and sharing what inspires me in my heart to say, I know that not only is peace possible, but indeed in spite of what it looks like on this planet as we are experiencing an all systems breakdown, there is an all systems breakthrough happening. And we are hearing it tonight among ourselves and certainly from all of you youth who are speaking, and the beautiful singing and the poetry, all of it. In fact, a young woman from Dubai recently shared, her name is Farina, and she recently shared with us as we are preparing for the International Day of Peace on September 21st, that there is a United Religions Initiative global youth movement for 1 billion acts of peace. And they are well on their way. That excites me. There is a Northern Iraq citizens' peace movement. We don't hear about these things in our media. We hear about so many other things. In Ethiopia, there is now a ministry for peace. In Afghanistan, there is an Institute of Peace and a ministry, and the ambassador is speaking about wanting to help make that a demonstration model. And I could go on, I could name many, many countries that are moving in the direction of institutionalizing peace so that we shift from a human-centered governance to an eco-centered governance where we recognize that indeed, that powerful clip, thank you for playing that, the Ungun Institute, Dr. Marty Casey brought together so many of the mothers of these Black youth who have been killed and members of their family who have been killed. And as they spoke, once again, we are reminded that, as she said so brilliantly, no 2 stones look alike, no 2 trees, no 2 flowers. We could go on and on. And so as we come to recognize within ourselves peace and healing and that heart-centeredness that allows us and empowers us to connect with one another regardless of outer seeming. That peace that begins with me will help transform, and it will help transform families and groups and communities. And it actually is the individual and collective transformation that advances the culture of peace. So as we are realizing this in every walk of life, as I said, it has yet to make mainstream news. But Samina, thank you for inviting me to listen, mostly to take this in. I just feel the joy of it, but to be able to share some of this that's happening. Just before this program this evening, I was on a program with something called Up Convergence. And we are on our way to Peace Weekend 2020. And if you go to peaceweekend.com, you will see that there are thousands of groups around the world converging in order to come together and understand peace through unity. And we do that by celebrating with one another all of our various differences that make up one human family. So it is a great joy, and I'm often asked, what can I do? What can I do as a global citizen, as a person who really wants to make a difference? And I want to offer 4 things. First, I can take personal and shared responsibility for being the change I wish to see in the world, making peace and nonviolence a part of my daily existence. Second, I can encourage and express goodwill, love in action, and begin naming and appreciating the signs of goodwill everywhere. Third, I can seek out others who are inclined to a spirit of cooperation and who demonstrate a willingness to work for what they want instead of fighting against what they do not want, an attitude of dialogue and positive peace. Fourth, I can offer my unique contribution on behalf of the common good, knowing that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You know, again, full circle, we are in the midst of an all systems breakdown. These are painful times. The pain and suffering is immense. It's a time of crisis, and yet crisis is both danger and opportunity. And the danger for us right now is hate, is separativeness, is all of those things that we know in our hearts are not what we long for. We long for the more sacred life of unity, of a recognition of our interconnectedness and living accordingly. So may we realize that, and it, again, all of you and the multi-faith tradition, God bless all of us, and God bless all of you for coming together so regularly and speaking this truth to our hearts. I want to say thank you, and I want to close with the words of Dag Hammarskjöld, a great UN co-worker, who said, "The pursuit of peace and progress cannot end in a few years in either victory or defeat. The pursuit of peace and progress, with its trials and its errors, its successes and its setbacks, can never be relaxed and never abandoned. May the spirit of peace be spread abroad in our hearts, through our groups, and throughout the world. May peace prevail on earth." Thank you.
Thank you, Dot, for opening us up to the global and the personal all at once, and for giving us ways that we can all do in terms of moving to action. Thank you. Next, we're going to have a Hebrew song called "Peace Will Yet Come Upon Us." One would think we planned this, but we probably didn't, but that seems the perfect song to follow Dot. This will be sung by Karen Bergen, who is a lay service leader at Congregational in Palo Alto. And Karen enjoys sharing music and dance with others, and she's going to share with us tonight. Karen?
Thank you so much. And thank you to Samina for inviting me. You know, normally a song from Etz Chaim would be sung by several singers and accompanied by the guitar. Well, the singers haven't been able to get together to practice, and we certainly can't get together in a home right now because of the pandemic. But the guitar's here, and it brought me. So I'm here to sing with you. The song, which I think we can put up, yes. So what I'm proposing to do, it's all about peace. Everybody should feel comfortable with these words. I'm going to start out, if I remember, by doing a yadidai, just yadidai. So if people don't know the words yet and they're just learning the melody, they can follow along yadidai, whatever syllable you like. Then we'll sing the English translation, then we'll sing the Hebrew, which is transliterated there. You see in the middle column, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. So those of you who are familiar with those words or would like to give them a go, you're welcome to do so. And then finally, we'll move over to the left and sing the English translation. So we'll sing it 3 times through. Goes kind of like this. Yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada da 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 da, yada. Now we'll go to the transliteration, and I must point out that there might be a line that we skip. If we do, just come with me. Here we go. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam, aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam, salam, aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. And the English. Peace will come upon us yet. Peace will come upon us yet. Peace will come upon us yet. Upon everyone. At the top again. Peace will come upon us yet. Peace will come upon us yet. Peace will come upon us yet. And upon everyone. Peace, peace. Upon us and upon the whole world. Oh, peace, peace. Peace, peace. Upon us and upon the whole world. Peace, peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I hope everyone was filling their house with this, knowing that we don't have to have our Hebrew perfect to sing along. And it's a beautiful way to participate. Abdullah Navaid is going to next offer us a peace prayer, some peace comments. Abdullah, we welcome you next.
Hi, everybody. Initially, I was actually going to be reading a call to prayer, but due to a lip surgery, kind of impaired. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and read the prayer. O God, you are the absolute peace, and all peace comes from you, and all paths of peace lead towards you. So fill our lives with peace, and grant us entrance into the abode of peace. Blessed are you, our Lord, O owner of majesty and honor. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, even though you just had a little surgery. I hope it heals quickly. We now move to what has been called the Light the Night for Peace and Justice as our closing ritual. Let me explain how we're going to do this, but as I'm talking, if you don't have your candle yet, there's my candle. If you don't have it yet, please go and get it. You can listen to my instructions. They're not particularly inspiring, but just so you know what we're doing as you get your candle. Eric Sapelman, a member of the Palo Alto Friends meeting, and also a member of Multifaith Voices for Peace and Justice Steering Committee, will lead us in a prayer, a closing gathering, a closing words and prayer to light the night for peace and justice. And after his words, I invite you to safely, however you do that, light your candle. And as you're lighting your candle, we'll move on to our closing song, our closing contribution by Rachel Benninghoff, Peace Crashes Over Me. That's how we'll close, with Peace Crashes Over Me. There's a beautiful candle there. And that will be the end of the program. However, I invite you, if you are so moved, to, at that point, after we've heard Rachel's song and the Zoom is closed, to continue the prayer and to light the night by going outdoors, whether it's light or dark, wherever you are, by going outdoors for a moment or two in front of your home and holding that candle and continuing your prayer for all we have heard tonight, and your prayer that the night of the world that we seem to be living in, that these candles may break through that night to create a world for peace and justice. Eric, you're next.
You have heard it said, don't hide your light under a basket. How easy it is to hide. How easy it is to close your eyes and never see your own light. How easy it is to believe that you own no light. How easy it is to believe you are nothing at all compared to those with wealth and power. How easy is it to take the basket that is offered to you, the gilded basket of pride and privilege, the mirrored basket of self-regard, the bloody basket of domination. You pull this basket over yourself and take comfort in the darkness. How easy it is to make yourself a basket, to weave together reeds of fear. You drape it with rebel battle flags, label it with testimonies of superiority, reinforce it with chains and shackles. You pull this basket over yourself and you rage in the darkness. You convince yourself you are protecting the light, but the light exists to be seen, to illuminate truth for us all. When you have hidden long enough, how can you free yourself from your basket? If you are weighed down with chains, then find the key. If your label is a lie, then find your true name. If blinded by a false flag, let the wind blow it away. There will always be a weak place between the strands of fear where you can pull apart the weaving. O Spirit, who gave us our light to begin with, grant us strength to unweave the basket. Grant us breath to blow away falsehood. Grant us voices to speak out our true message to the world. Grant us brothers and sisters to lift the basket off of us if we cannot do it alone. Amen.
Rachel Benninghoff is from the Baha'i community. And again, I invite everyone to light their candle now and hold it up to your screen if you have your video on so we can all see it. After Rachel sings, I'm not going to say anything more. Her song is a beautiful way to end our time. As you leave the meeting in Zoom, again, I invite you, if you're so moved, to take your light outside, to continue in a moment of prayer that we can light the night, take the basket off our lights, and light the night for peace and justice. Thank you all for participating. Thanks, Amina, for all the organizing, and Eileen for handling the Zoom so beautiful. Thank you for being here. Let's light the night.
The thoughts in my mind take up too much space. Energy straining, competing at full speed like life is a race. Compassion seems harder to find every day, but it's what the world's craving. I breathe deep, remember my faith. You're never changing. And peace, peace, peace crashes over me, crashes over me. Peace, peace, peace crashes over me, crashes over me. Speaking of the world, conflict and chaos grace every headline. How can I help when the outcome seems this bleak? I can stand up, I can speak out. Remember, every voice counts. Smile at a stranger, learn from someone different than me. And we'll start a ripple of peace, peace, peace. Crashes over me, crashes over me. Peace, peace, peace crashes over me, crashes over me. Peace, peace, peace crashes over me like a raging sea. Let me, open in love your peace for the world to see. My voice seems so small, but I'll raise it anyway. And if a few more small voices join me each and every day, we'll make a small voice chorus so glorious that they can no longer ignore us. And we'll shout the rhythm of peace, peace, peace crashes over me like the raging sea. Let me open in love your peace for the world to see. Let your light in your midnight, the darkest night, we will shine beacons of your light. Let your love take flight and shine light, and shine light, and shine light and shine light. Peace, peace, peace crashes over me.